5 fragrances that you shouldn't waste your money on. Look, I know a lot of times we purchase fragrances either because they're inexpensive, we feel like we're getting a great deal on them. Whatever the case may be, I totally understand. Some of these fragrances I paid a lot of money for, some of them I paid very little money for. Despite that fact, I don't think you should be wasting your money on any of these 5 fragrances. I'm gonna let you know what they are in just a little bit, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's episode and I tell you about these 5 fragrances that I personally don't feel as though you should be spending or wasting your money on, I don't think they're anything special except for one of them, but I have my rationale for that. I want to start the video off first by saying that if you're a fan of fragrance-related content, and of course, if you love smelling your best, hit subscribe, hit the bell, and give this video a thumbs up for the algorithm. It would really, really mean the world to me. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and discuss these 5 fragrances. You don't need to sample them. You should not purchase them. Of course, scent is subjective. Is it possible that you own one or more of these fragrances and you really love them? Yeah, there's a very high likelihood of that. But at the end of the day, with a collection of almost 4,000 fragrances, these are just honest to God ones that I think you shouldn't waste your money on. The first one, for example, and I bought this one when I was in the Caribbean, and I think it was one of the ports of call on a cruise ship that I was sailing on, and I ended up going into, I think it might have been a duty free, and I saw this bottle there and I had never heard of this perfume. I heard of the brand because I know they make spirits, but I've never heard of this perfume. I didn't know that they had a perfume for one of their drinks, I suppose. And this one is by Courvoisier and it's called L'Édition Impériale. Honest to God, I think I paid like a couple $100 for it. And this is a boozy fragrance. And of course, if you know Courvoisier, you know what they make. This one is just not worth it, right? It's very boozy, it's spicy, but it almost smells like a dirty vetiver fragrance. It doesn't smell bad. It is dark, it's mysterious, it's an intriguing DNA. But if you're looking for booze, I mean, for the amount of money that you're gonna spend on this one, just get like Angel Share by Kilian, or you can get Khamra by Latafa, Khamra Khawa, Khamra Dukan. There's so many other like boozy fragrances on the market that I would recommend in place of this one in a heartbeat. So for me, I think, don't quote me, I think I wasted like $200 on this one and I barely wore it. I think at the time I probably wore it like a few days in a row, especially when I was on the cruise ship and I was vacationing, and I said, well, this should be an interesting fragrance to sample throughout the duration of this cruise. But at the end of the day, this is one that I really can't recommend. I don't think you should go out there and spend your money on it. The next one, I bought this one, I think from the Tommy Bahama boutique in Atlantic City. And it's attached to one of the malls. I forget which mall, but it's now I don't even think that they have Tommy Bahama there anymore. But anyway, I saw this bottle. How much could it have been, right? It's fairly inexpensive. And this one is called St. Kitts. And this is for men. Again, very cheap, plastic cap, nothing special. It does click into place, but nothing special about the presentation. I do like the feel of the bottle though. I think it feels pretty nice. Kind of has like this rubbery texture to it, but I just sprayed it again this morning to remind myself, and it just smells like a very clean, generic fragrance. There's really nothing special about it. It smells fresh. I would say if you can find this at TJ Maxx for like $9.99, go ahead and pick it up, especially if you're gifting it to somebody. Just because it's very fresh, it's very inoffensive, you're not going to offend anybody when you're wearing this one. But I mean, even in the way of uniqueness, originality, intrigue, allure, you're not gonna get that with this fragrance or any Tommy Bahama for that matter. The only one that was getting a lot of hype like a decade ago was Set Sail St. Bart's. And that one has like this salty coconut lime thing happening in there. People were saying it's a solid alternative for Virgin Island Water by Creed. Definitely not. I think people have lost their minds. It smells nothing like it, but it can be worn for the same occasions. That was the only one by Tommy Bahama that I thought was like halfway decent. And that one I did purchase as well many years ago. I never wear it. But yeah, you really don't waste your money on anything Tommy Bahama. The next fragrance I want to talk about, this one I bought from TJ Maxx. Yope Jump. Let me tell you something. I know it's controversial. Some people love Yope, especially if you were in the club scene in the 80s or whenever the perfume came out. Just that rich cinnamon, that sweet sandalwood, this one, let me see. So boring. So boring. There's nothing special about it. Now, there's a lot of Yope flankers that are nice. They're really nice. And I see what they did here. They took the Yope DNA and they actually tried to freshen it up, but it doesn't work, right? Yope is one of those fragrances where it's so identifiable and it's so characteristic because of that sweet cinnamon, that creamy sandalwood. There's so much happening in it that is amazing. And then of course with this one, they just, I don't know, they took an iconic DNA and they tried to make it more commercial, for lack of a better word, and it's a fail. The next fragrance, also just a boring chemical mess. My God. Like this fragrance is, and I like this brand. I do like this brand. And I think they have a lot of really nice fragrances that I can get behind. And this one, I'm gonna share something with you. I think this one is gonna get you compliments. It's a very safe DNA. And I actually do like a few from this line, but this one is just boring. It's so boring. There's nothing happening in here. If you even see this at a Macy's or something, just skip, skip, skip. Move on and try something else. Please do yourself a favor. I think the brand is great and I have a lot of articles of clothing from this brand, but the fragrance itself is just this boring, fresh fragrance. And there's just so many other better options on the market. In good conscience, I can't recommend this one. This one by Kenneth Cole is called Mankind Hero. And yeah, don't waste your money. The fragrance in the #1 spot is actually one of my favorite fragrances ever. And I don't wear it because I have an original formulation bottle. So here's the caveat. I say don't waste your money on this. If it were still available at full retail, I would say go right ahead. You know, if you could purchase it at retail. However, on account of the reformulation and subsequent discontinuation, now it's nearly impossible to find, and people who are selling it on auction websites are charging an arm and a leg. Just forget about it. Move on, try something else. Try the pseudo niche counterpart, and I say pseudo niche because it's a designer fragrance. Try Oud Wood by Tom Ford. There's a lot of other fragrances that you can purchase in place of this one that kind of do the same thing, but I get it. This one was super popular because they had a crazy ad campaign and it was the first commercial designer oud-based fragrance, and Tom Ford was the creative director of the brand. And so there's a lot of reasons why people love this one. And this one, I love it, but don't even worry about spending your money on it. Just forget about it. This one by Yves Saint Laurent is called M7. And this is the original formulation. It smells good. It smells really good. However, if you want something similar to this, not 100%, if you want something similar to this, go with Oud Wood by Tom Ford. Same creative direction. Oud Wood is a bit more polished. It's also an entry-level oud fragrance. And honestly, this one, as great as it smells, the brand axed it, and you know what? Whatever. You know, they could have made a lot of sales if they kept it on the market, I think. I'm not too much of a salesperson, but I know the hype that it's been receiving. And as of like the last couple of weeks, I've had at least 3 people reach out to me asking either for an alternative for it or asking where they can get their hands on it. So publicly, I say don't waste your money on it unless you had the opportunity to buy it at a decent price. Otherwise, do not pay any of these guys on auction websites how much they're asking for. They are just trying to rip you off. So thank you so much for watching 5 fragrances that I don't think you should waste your money on. I think there's so many other fantastic options on the market. And, you know, in terms of like freshies and boozy fragrances and even alternatives to some discontinued fragrances, there's always something on the market, right? The perfume world is booming and exploding. Thank you so much for watching. If you took anything of value from today's episode, I would really appreciate it if you would consider supporting the channel by clicking subscribe, hitting the bell, and giving this video a thumbs up. It would really mean a lot to me. Thanks again for watching. I love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow with a new episode.